This is bullshit.
We don't have our intro on this, so we're just going. So that's fun. Yeah, so this is bullshit. Welcome to episode 2 of TV Chronicles. They played it yesterday. It's not here on the channel, at least where I'm finding it. So welcome back. We're episode 2. Yeah, we decided to go 3 episodes this week. We were tired of 2. We needed to see 3. And if I'm being transparent, week to week, it's probably best that we keep it at 3. But I could have went a lot longer.
Let's do
we didn't pick a lot of shows that just stop and just that's fine. I'll check in back in a week. I really am interested a lot. There's one show I've never seen, so I'm itching to just go to the next episode on that one. And then one of these are my favorite shows of all time, so it's hard to stop watching it after I start watching it. And then the Oz is just fucking crazy, so I'm enjoying the ride again on that one. Mike's not here. Nazario is officially, I think it's official, has dropped out. He has dropped out. He may show up on an episode, but he has dropped out as of right now. So the running bit of him being here at some point, I don't want to let the people down. He'd probably get us canceled anyways. If we're being transparent with this show, if anybody's been on call with him after a call, he says some things. Oz may have just ended him completely on this community. But me and Mark and Matt are here. So Mark, how are you doing? Is The Wire still the best show? And yeah.
I mean, I think The Wire, is still the best show. You got some things ramping up here, but I mean, I'm willing to still, give other shows their flowers. I'm probably going to do it, this episode. There's some neat shit. And it was really hard to stop. Although, one show I may continue it on a little bit, and I'll probably have to do some rewatching. But, it is what it is.
I did too, but we won't talk about that now. And Matt, how are you? And you're Switzerland. You like all 3 of these, and you don't really have you don't pick your favorite. So it's nice to have a common ground.
Yeah, as I'm rewatching this, I'm super interested to get to the next episode of each one, and I know I've seen all 3 shows, and I feel like, especially with Oz, I think a lot of the stuff that I really love is coming up in the later seasons. It wasn't necessarily all in the first season, so I'm really looking forward to getting to. So the future season, same with Breaking Bad too. I think that really picks up in some of the later seasons as well. But yeah, I'm going to be hyped up.
Yeah, I was thinking about this as I watched this because I could talk for the length we did last time on these 3 episodes, probably of Breaking Bad by themselves. I don't know what I'm going to do in season 5. I really don't. I think. We all have our favorite shows. We all have our things. I think this show is insane. So I was just finding things and was when I know things are coming and it still surprises me, that's just the length of a great show. So basically we're going to do the same rundown we did last time. We are going to Oz first. 3 episodes this time. We're going to kind of create it like a free form. I'm not going to go in depth on everything like I did last time. I did step by steps, but I think the main talking point of this one was I think I called him King all last episode. It's King, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I butchered that all the time.
King the whole time.
I thought that's what it was called. I never looked up the IMDb. It just sounded like it to me, so I was just like, King, that makes sense. And kind of he was in the lead, so it made perfect sense to me. It didn't make perfect sense once I looked into it. Basically, the main one of this talking point, I would say, is the tension in Oz is growing pretty high. This is where Matt's here. The warden, I don't know his name.
Warden Leo Glenn.
Warden Leo is basically having a meeting with the group at the beginning to talk about the murder that just happened. They're also attending a funeral at the very first episode of this 3. The 3 is called God's Calling. It's kind of the through point through this entire thing. A lot of people visit the Father to confess during this episode. Some that believe in God, some that just want to eat God's flesh. basically, it's kind of weird. We kind of see the humanity of McManus in this one. McManus is believes that Keen is like won't retaliate, like he won't do anything. He sees O'Reilly like 3 minutes into the episode. He's like, "We're gonna take him out." It's like, so your belief is not paying off very well. Basically, the warden has a meeting with Keen, Nino, and oh my God, what's his name? Saeed.
Yeah.
They have a meeting, all 3 of them. Says, we're going to lock down this prison if y'all don't knock the shit off.
No.
He says, all right. Then all of a sudden, they come out. They're all talking about like there's nothing thing. Then the gym fight breaks out. Like next thing is like the Italians are in there with the African Americans. What do we call that group? Did we call them something? There was a thing that they go by. Not like it's not cancelable. I don't remember what it was called. But
no.
Okay. The African American game. We'll just leave it there. I know it was said last episode. I don't remember it. I'm not going to put these 2 in a spot to say something that's going to get them in trouble. But basically, the gym fight breaks out. The gym fight breaks out. Gosh, I don't know. Like we never see real damage. That dude is swinging a dumbbell that is a significant weight right into the face of these people, and they are still moving, and they don't have any damage whatsoever.
That's something that's going to happen a few times in this show.
And then Keen gets a dick in the box. He gets sent a message. He gets a dick in the back, and
that's where the idea came from.
He kind of starts losing it. He kind of is like accepting Saeed's like joining him, repenting for all his problems, all his back mistakes. Basically, he also like first breaks down by like lighting his bed on fire. Like he sets fire to his bed. McManus loses it because he's the defender of Keen at this point. And he doesn't do it. But he's basically going through it. He's actually like fighting with his brother. His brother's homosexual. You can't do that inside the religion, so they're basically trying to tell him to stop that. His brother says, "Fuck you! I like being gay. I'm going to stay gay." And then we go into Beecher's story, kind of. Beecher is involved in this. Beecher has got a new job working for Sister
Pete.
Sister Pete, thank you. And he's also O'Reilly is like going to get an appeal. It's like you're a lawyer, and then they do the playback of why Riley's in there. You're not getting off. I don't care how much you want to leave Oz. This is the worst appeal ever.
There's some loophole I'm sure we can find.
Then Beechard and Schillinger get into a fight of whether Jesus is dark skinned or not. Beecher has to polish his shoes with his tongue. One of the most awkward scenes in Oz, like that tongue, and they did not share us anything. But as the episode is going, Beecher is getting into a drug addiction, basically getting very high with O'Reilly. They're drug buddies, but he's also looking into King. Sorry, I'm jumping way ahead. O'Reilly goes to Nino and says, "I want to take out King." They say, "Okay." They ask, why are you okay? If he wants to get his hands dirty, it's on him. Fuck him, I don't give a shit. And then O'Reilly goes to his prison contact on the inside. Yeah. They take him into the gym. 2 guys are in there. King kills both or just one, but he injures just one, but he snaps the neck of one while 5 officers are like filming this as it goes down. They basically locked him up, which is There's so much
What
bullshit
was
in this
that?
episode.
What was that?
I'm
Like,
sure
we
their
never
plan was
have
for him to get
cameras.
killed, and then they could just watch the video for entertainment later on. But hey, I mean, this is just as
So
good.
basically,
Okay.
these first two episodes are over the capital punishment, like, of Keen.
Mhm.
He ends up killing this guy. It's by videotape, though the government is sending in investigation on the prison itself, unpacking everything, while Keen is going to the hole. Beechard is trying to work on an appeal trial, basically, in the next episode. And, like, Beechard does way too much. For a guy that's only in there for 4 years, he is doing far too much. He's already got Schillinger up his ass. He's trying to defend an African-American guy that Schillinger is clearly not going to be okay with at all. He's proven that. And he's lying to Schillinger. He's doing all this crazy shit. McManus is back and forth like capital punishment. Sister Pete quit. There's so much over this capital punishment. By the way, it's the fastest capital punishment that's ever happened in the history of. I don't know what the span of time is.
Oh, it's got to at least be a couple of months, if not a few months, going through. Because
Does
you got to
it?
think they had to have a trial, and then they had the whole thing where he gave like his sister a kidney or something like that. So
But do
it's
they
got to be at least.
show? Do they let time pass at all in this? Because it doesn't feel like time
They-
has passed.
They in the it said he got a 30-day stay of execution, so it
Mhm.
was at least a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he gave
a
it.
month happened in 20 minutes essentially. Like
Yeah.
It also helps to explain Beecher. He's kind of growing too and getting used to the system and everything as well. So
Yeah, but he's putting his shit in situations. So let's mainly talk about the first two episodes. We'll talk about the third episode because I think the third episode's kind of a detached from the first two. I think capital punishment's the main thing. Like,
Yeah.
there's after effects from the capital punishment, like
Mhm.
stuff. But overall, I liked the two episodes leading into it. I really enjoyed. Father, what is the priest?
Father
that?
Ray.
Father Ray? Huh?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, Ray.
Father Ray, I enjoy him as a character. He is the most fish out of water guy. Did they just send him in there unprotected at all times? Like, yes, of course these killers won't do anything to me. What were you guys' takes from these first two episodes? The capital punishment, awesome, automatic dick governor, like absolute, just like perfect dick governor. But I'm curious what you guys' thoughts.
Well, the thing that I kind of liked about the capital punishment episode was that it kind of showed both sides of it, because you got Keen as like a person who really, he kind of got screwed over. He shouldn't have been on death row. He could have easily fought that if he wanted to, and probably gotten Beecher to help him get off, or at least something to that effect. But then you also had Eric Roberts is in that episode as well, as a person, a serial killer who probably killed at least like 20 or so women, probably raped and killed, I'm sure, 20 women.
Oh,
that
that sequence is crazy.
So that's a person who probably the death penalty probably might have been necessary for that person. So I like that they kind of showed both sides of it and kind of let you bring your own opinion to it. Like, do you think the death penalty is justified or not? And it kind of depends on a case by case scenario.
Let's talk about that one real quick. Like, so it happens. Like, they tell us two different stories of death row.
Mm-hmm.
Keen going down. Keen's basically come to peace with it. Like, he's going to go because he has done wrong, and he's just like, that's my way out. Like, I can't hurt anybody else if I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy, we don't know anything about him until this episode. He's not featured in the episodes prior, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, he just appears. Yeah.
So then McManus like goes up and like talks. Not McManus. The warden is having a conversation with him about it. Is like, anything you want to say, like, talk about before you go. And as he's walking away, he like starts just listing names.
Because he was only convicted for one woman, and
and then he just starts listing names of like multiple people. Like, he confessed up to like 30 names or something
like that. Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit! Well, this man definitely like. I think they do a good job because of a prison show. it's a very, I bet in 97 it was a very political topic on the death penalty and not, but like, one hand, an innocent man by the governor's standard is just going to give him the death penalty anyways, versus a guy who killed 30 shows zero remorse and if out will continue to go. So like, draw your conclusion if capital punishment is fair. Anybody else find it fucking weird that Joaquin is getting executed, McManus and the other officer are boning? Just they both feel sad about it, but you know what else turns to sadness? Horniness. We're just gonna fuck. I was like, and he's chatting up the nurse, which is a smoke show. Like, what are we doing?
Tim McManus got game. He's just gonna get any woman on Oz. He's gonna get
no sense. Like, he's the guy that you would see that good zero action. He's got it all, every bit of it. But he has that interaction with her because she was called to do the execution for Keen, and he loses it. He gets angry, and she's like, "Listen, you're around these inmates too much. You're starting to act like them." And like, it was such an eye-opening experience, but like, doesn't stop him from being an asshole. Mark, what was your take on these two episodes? Because you're not the biggest Oz fan compared to the rest of us.
I will say like a couple things. I kind of forgot, at least for the first season. I don't know if this continues on. I don't think it does. Really, how theme centric these episodes were. Like, we're kind of trying to tackle a lot of these aspects, at least from how these guys feel like in prison. Which okay, like I don't remember that. That's fine. I will say like because I am kind of, as I'm going back into it, it kind of reminds me of this is sort of why I didn't finish the show, but I'm also being reminded of why I kept going for as long as I did, because there are a number of just very interesting characters that are just kind of starting to take shape. I think the longer we go, Adebisi becomes more interesting. He really is just like a wild card just being thrown into here. I'm also starting to see, this is also kind of why I liked Beecher. Just because on some end, like, he is this kind of this neat, like, fish out of water guy. He's kind of adjusting, like, as far as he goes. And we also just see how everything's just slowly changing around him. Mm-hmm. And then also just O'Reilly. O'Reilly is just the fucking best. Like, we got Littlefinger, like, before Littlefinger with O'Reilly. A guy who has virtually no loyalty and just goes around, like, just fucks over everybody.
Got this guy, fuck that guy. Do this guy, fuck him, do that. If I take out all of Oz, no one can tell me what to do. Like, and he's in there for like 12 years?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And he's literally manufactured every murder we've basically seen from the start. Like, he's had a hand in every murder.
Oh, yeah. He's the master chess player, yeah.
Crazy.
I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of liked Oz more in like the second, third, because that way, second, third seasons, that way you actually know the characters at that point. You know their motivations, you know how they're acting, and you get to see them play off of each other. And then occasionally they'll bring new people in and see how that changes it up.
I think the only thing
go ahead.
I think the only thing that's getting me so far, I'm not really certain if any not prisoners, I think, are super interesting characters. I'm not really certain if there's any of those, because I'm thinking about where we're going later, or at least, and I'm looking at now, I'm like, okay, like, because go on to, what was Carmela? Carmela's, not going to be super long for this world. I don't know, like McManus, I just find annoying. Ernie Hudson's fine. Yeah, I don't know.
We don't need to see McManus just sleeping around the prison the whole time.
Yeah, what the fuck's that all about? Like, I know he kind of went on like, he's got game. Like, what does McManus have that the rest of us don't? Like, what's he learned?
Yeah,
I think overall, like, it's just like proximity in that job. Like, she's surrounded by the worst men ever. Mm-hmm. He looks like a fucking knight in shining armor compared to everybody else. Yeah, I agree with you with the themes. Like this is a very themed like episode because this one was the first episode was God, second episode was the capital punishment, third episode was the drugs, basically
Oh, you mean tits?
putting it, huh?
You mean tits?
Yeah,
Tits, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got confused.
yeah. Yeah, but they're very themed. I just feel like in these 50-minute episodes they pack so much in it.
Yeah,
Like,
and like it's hard too because especially when you feel like a lot of time is going by, but you're not sure like how much time is transpiring in between all this stuff. Like
yeah,
Keen, I feel like he like did a 180 complete on his character, and it seems like a matter of days almost. That
he
I
changed and died.
Yeah, pretty much all with like an episode and a half, which probably
like he
was probably
literally,
over
and
a
the
few
only
months,
reason he
but
stayed,
yeah.
the only reason he stayed alive longer is because he decided to give a kidney up.
Yeah.
But also in these two episodes, we also find out what's the guy that had a baby?
Oh yeah, Alvarez.
Alvarez had a baby the baby's not going to make it, basically.
Because his parents was doing drugs.
Saeed has fainted and has hypertension, which is they put that into his race, which he has a problem with. So that's a whole fight. So that all happens also while all this other shit is happening. The creepy cannibal guy is sneaking into the morgue, knows how to get into death row, talking to God, wants to go, it's creeping out the father because he's going to go do godly things, but he just wants to eat Jesus, which is fucking weird. He's like, you guys are Catholic, like you do this, like I feel like I can fit into that group. Excuse me, like what? O'Reilly confesses to him.
The old guy was the last one to almost be executed in the electric chair.
One of the best. The power outage saved him. And he talked to God, and he said he could play an oboe. Did you play an oboe? No, I did not. Like, wild just interactions. Yeah, there's just so much in this. Like,
and also the other thing we missed too is episode 3. We had our first actor crossover between Oz and The Wire with what was his name? J.D. Williams plays Kenny Wangler, and Oz, a 16-year-old who was tried as an adult. So now you have a 16-year-old in here with all these guys, and he's also in The Wire's Bodie.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Hanging out with a bunch of lifers, where he belongs. Right? Nice going, McManus.
Which I don't know. Maybe it's safer in the Oz than it is in Gen Pop. Who knows?
Yeah, well, no, it's not. It's 100% not.
But there's more guards, and they're always watching.
Isn't there been 3? Isn't like the main crux of this? There's been like 3 murders, like in the cell fuck already. Like, what are you talking about?
I understand they run it like nobody else, like they figure that out, but come on.
Seems like it's really easy to do.
People with 4 years and life without parole are not supposed to be in the same prison. And then they sit back and they're like, yeah, he's going to start doing something crazy. Like he's going to like this murder is like going to be this murder is they're going to start investigating this. You fucking think they are?
But like, Cody, if you treat them like that, you've already given up on them. we can change them.
Like this governor is fantastic. Like no smoking. Effing. You're not going to be able to see your loved ones. No. Murders are increasing. Well, we're going to give the death penalty. Fuck it.
No lockdowns. It makes us look weak.
No, Governor. You're doing this. I'm not telling you directly responsible. No, you are. You are.
Yeah, I gave you the death penalty. You can start fixing stuff now.
Oh, and then we have Warden and Sister Pete. She quits. Fuck you.
What was that?
Like she wanted to go.
She quits and they hired her back. What is that bullshit? Like, come on.
Well, no, the death's over. The death's over. We need her back because they tried it. Remember? They tried to bring in the other guy, and he pissed his pants as soon as the guy yelled at him. He said, "I'm out." So we'll go into the sixth episode, the fifth episode, sixth episode.
Fifth.
Yeah, fifth.
I don't know how numbers work. 2, 3,
2
5.
plus 3.
We're there. Drugs. We're gonna put an end to the drug thing. Didn't really do a whole lot to the drug thing. They just took all of Nino's guys and kicked him out.
Did
everybody freeze? Did I freeze?
You are a little froze.
Okay, everybody jolted back.
But I can't see you.
Yeah. Drugs are bad. I don't know where we were. I paused. My Wi-Fi went down. Thanks to the pause feature on Streamer. Yeah, drugs are bad. Basically, the only one that got really screwed out on this whole thing is Nino. They took all of his guys and shipped him out. Bye.
But that's okay. He made new friends.
He did make new friends. I think the main crux of this one, Beechard is going harder and harder on drugs.
Mm-hmm. He also got a makeover.
He did get a makeover that was not pretty. Does anybody know the female officer's name?
I said it, Carmela Soprano.
Yeah. But
Yes.
Officer Diane.
Officer Diane. Officer Diane and McManus are kind of having a fling in this episode. O'Reilly's officer knows about it, basically. Calls them out on it. They both lose it. Diane pretty much calls it off with him. Yeah. Governor is, doing governor things, still killing it. Has come out with a new mandate that there is no more overtime. You can't work any more overtime, no more double shifts, which Diane was basically using. She needed the money. Comes into Emerald City, is one of her ex-husband's friend.
Yeah. So she kind of knows him. Well, Scott Ross.
Yeah. She doesn't know him at fucking all. He was in jail the whole time. But he's got a proposition for her to make some money, which I think I don't know if she agrees to. Does she agree?
Yeah, I think she's done it a couple times, yeah.
Yeah, so she's in on it. Nino has basically joined up with I don't know who he
Adebisi,
who does he
and was it the Wrangler kid? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and one kid gets hung. The informant gets there's a police informant in Oz that the warden knows about. Basically told McManus it was his cousin. Wasn't. He had no one else had any clue that this guy was in there. Nino basically
the FBI get brought in too to investigate stuff.
Yeah, Nino basically finds out. Nino gets told that to find the rat, get this guy out, whoever it is. He's hanging in the gym. They find him pretty easily. They take care of him. He's dead. What we find out also is we really need to find this officer's name, but O'Reilly's officer is also running a drug ring inside. They also have the FBI investigating, doing a full-on search from every officer, top to bottom, inside, including McManus, Warden. Everybody's going through it to find out who is opening the doors, who is letting people in, who's letting the drugs come in, everything. And the reason why they find out, Nino finds the guy to take him out, does the hanging, because a shipment came in, it got busted. It's the first time he's ever had anything searched or busted out. So he's find the guy. They find the guy. Episode kind of ends, I would say, with
well, Nino uses Ryan to get rid of the guard, because he's like, if you're going to want to work with me, we got to be the only thing in town. So we don't need to learn the guard's name because he's gone now. Ryan sets it up, gets him fired. Yeah. Yeah,
Warden and him have a out and Lance goes, when everything goes to shit and you're going to need somebody, I'm not going to be here. Warns him. All in all, that's basically episode 4. Beecher's in harder drugs. I didn't love this episode. I would say this is the weaker of the 3 that we watched. I don't know if everybody else felt that way. I think the problem was I think the first 2 are connected. They're very connected episodes. It's basically a part 1 and part 2. This one was a kind of a standalone, and the theme was drugs, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
I don't know how everybody else felt. What did you guys think of episode 3?
It's kind of more of a filler. It's just kind of moving some pieces around the board, kind of setting things up for the upcoming. I think there's maybe 2 more episodes in the first season, so it's kind of getting everything set up for the end game of the season. It's pushing Beecher a little bit further into where he's going with both Schillinger messing with him more, and he's getting more into the drugs, the harder drugs now, because I think he started getting into the heroin in this episode, right? So it's gonna ramp things up a little bit, but yeah, I thought it was good. It was definitely, like you said, it's probably the weaker of the 3, but it did a good job. It took a lot of characters off of the board, either getting transferred or fired or killed. But it kind of moves some.
Yeah, they basically transferred everybody that we didn't know.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not looking good for Nino.
They mentioned names, and we're like, okay, not Riley, not Beecher, not Schillinger, not any of the. I don't give a fuck.
That's an Italian sounding name. That's probably
it's very good. They were sitting at the same table so that we know who they are.
I was just waiting to hear Nino. I was just like, yeah, but it was never Nino. It was every other Italian there. So, Mark, what'd you think?
I mean, I liked how the episode kept pushing the characters. I like how, at least for all the main people, also at this point, I would say no. I guess he's the second one, because like as far as like kind of the leaders of like the gangs here, he's kind of the last one who's around, like other than him and like Saeed. So, and we also see him kind of work with some of these guys, like which I'm kind of interested to see at least how that goes. And I really liked how we threw in that narc angle in there. That really just came out of nowhere. I forgot about that. It was a neat thing to throw in. But no, I think, as far as kind of most of these things, like what's going to keep me into the show is all the character interaction, because I think Oz has done a pretty good job of developing people certain ways and also kind of making them do things that you're not going to expect. But it's also in a way that, and also in the way that makes sense. And I don't really feel like it's something that's kind of out of the ordinary for this person.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I think I would have liked it a little bit more. I understand they had limited episodes, so they really couldn't, but I wish they would have like looked into the narc more, like tried to unpack it. But it was like, guy was gone tomorrow. Like, find the narc, hanging. Okay, we found him. That was pretty good. Good job, Nino. Like, there was no like back and forth. No one talking to anybody else. No one convincing another guy to sell the other guy out. Like, nope, he's hanging. We're good. I was like, all right, done with that. Basically, McManus and Orton just don't like it. Like, they just don't like each other. Like, there's this back and forth, which I like. I just want to spend less time with them, and I want to spend more time with the prisoners. So that's just my only takeaway from us. It's really going to be hard to rank episode 3 and 4, I think. Like, they're pretty tied in together. Like, it matters which way I guess you lean, but like, they're pretty tight. So we'll see. We're going to The Wire. Kill count on Oz.
Kill count on Oz. So episode 3 we had 1 kill. Episode 4 had 2 kills, and episode 5 had 1 kill. So Oz is up to 7 kills so far.
Yeah, we've done 5 episodes, and I'm pretty sure next week. So the next episode we do, Oz, we will do season finale. Breaking Bad, we will do season finale. Wire, we will continue on because we will not be done. We will not do 3 episodes of Breaking Bad or Oz next week. We will just do 2 because I don't want to do episode 1 of season 2. I'd rather just tap it off and see how we felt about season 1. Kind of our overview of the time we will spend on that 3rd episode. We'll basically talk about the season as a whole.
Well, we
and
could
how
do
it-
that if we're going to take an episode away from those two, add those episodes to The Wire, and we can almost knock out the Wire.
I mean,
Could
we're
we?
only. I mean, we're gonna finish up Oz like with 3 episodes, and like
Oh, okay. So there's what, 3 episodes left of Oz this season, or is it 2?
it's three.
I think there's
episodes.
2.
Oh, okay.
No, there's 8. You know, I'm pretty sure there's 8.
Is there 8?
Let me
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, 8 episodes. Yeah.
Okay.
So we will do 3 of Oz. We'll do 3 of Wire. We'll only do 2 of Breaking Bad next week to do the season finale. Because I think Breaking Bad goes into like 13 and more, or 16 sometimes. I don't
Yeah,
really know.
Breaking Bad's going to jump around its episode orders. Yeah.
It's going to go long. So now Wire. I'm a noob, so this is the first time watching this show. Basically, the episode starts with them back at the where's that place? Where is is it called the Towers, the lower place where they're all at?
Like in the when they're in kind of that courtyard, the pit. They're in the pit.
No.
Okay, they're in the pit. Cops are still looking over them. They're bringing out the hats to basically identify all of them again. The red hat. I think this is the episode that we get our opening from. The pawn, the chess players, all of that. Which I was like, oh, I've heard this before. So that was
Bizarre ruined a great part of this episode.
Yeah, I was like, thanks a lot. I was like, that's really cool. I wish I would have heard it the first time in this. Then when the show comes back from the opening theme song, the guy that's working on the inside, basically, for them, he lives in the pit, and he brings out the hats, helps to identify them with the red hat. So they go through all that. Comes back. We're talking about my favorite character in the entire show. Fucking dipshit. Guy with the gun fired, guy that beat the 14-year-old in the face, with 2 of the dumbest law enforcement officers of all time, like defending him, like, oh, he's not so bad. He did fine. These kids are blind. Well, 2 of us got
It
injured.
showed that Daniels is loyal to his team. He didn't turn on him. He could have easily tried to just push it all off on it, but and they were able to leverage that and get some good stuff out of it, so it works out.
Did what they should have done the entire time. He is on a field duty. He is not allowed to go out. Good job. He should not have a gun. He should not have a badge. He should not be anywhere near anything.
Pending the investigation. We'll see.
They try in this, I don't know if it's this exact episode, but they try to redeem him. No, unredeemable. Don't care if you can solve things or not. You're a piece of shit. Get off my screen. I hate you. They do a press conference basically to say that the guy that got shot is not just because he testified does not mean that he got killed. That's not why he got killed. More useless fucking people. We go to the 2 old fucking fat cops that Jimmy's like, hey, why don't you guys, we're trying to identify the main guy that we yet have a picture of. Why don't you go do a fucking anything? Yeah, I'd rather not. I'd rather just sit here and drink my coffee and read a newspaper that he's read 14 times. So he's going to send them out to do the job. And then he's like, oh, that's good. If you don't want to do that, how about you sit at my desk and look at all these murder cases and write files? And he's like, fuck, let's go. So they leave. They leave, and they're fucking useless. They don't do fucking dick in this episode.
Probably the funniest moment they had, like, of all these 9 episodes we watched. You come back with a picture of a white guy. All right, here's the old white guy.
I was just like, fuck. They talk about the pawns. Basically, it's in our opening. Not in this one, but it was the first. Great line, great segment. I can see why Michael B. Jordan became an actor. He's really good. Is this the episode with the fucking? No, okay, not here. I was trying to see if it was the creepy guy talking about whacking off, but we'll talk about that later. That was just fucking unnecessary as shit.
I mean, I get our first look at Freeman here because after those guys fuck up, he then hears like one detail, and then goes to that boxing club, and then he's able to find a somewhat current picture of Avon. Which
if you want to know who just jumped like instantly into my favorite character list, it's that guy.
He revealed he's an actual police officer.
he is more useful than every other police force member in the entire. Like he gets shit done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember.
We have the introduction to one of the major players going forward, in Omar Little.
That's the thing, yeah. Omar looks and is the most intimidating character ever. There's a scene. I'm not jumping ahead because I don't know. And I don't watch a ton of TV show. But there is a moment, and not this episode, another episode, that is one of like the most chilling like shows his power, shows his intimidation factor in like a character I've seen in TV in a long time. But yeah, we get to see Omar basically, again, not working in. He's opposing the gang, the other group.
He's kind of like a vigilante almost.
Yeah.
He's robbing from the drug dealers to give to himself.
Yeah.
He is Robin Hood, but does not give to the poor, gives to himself.
I mean, he's probably
Am I accurate on that?
So.
I mean, we jump forward a little bit. He just steals drugs and he sells them himself, and makes his money that way.
D'Angelo and Idris Elba.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Stringer Bell. Yeah,
Stringer. They basically have the whole conversation up at the top. Off the top of my head, I'm blanking what the conversation was basically about. I remember them being in the thing.
They were talking like D'Angelo saying like they were selling like a weak product, and then it was just a little tiny like, well, this is like we're just gonna we can't wait to get that new package. But he's like, well, the package is gonna be the same. We're just gonna dress it up different. Mm-hmm. He's like, it doesn't matter if we put out something good because the dope fiends are still gonna come and get their drugs. So
they'll pay more for the weaker stuff because they'll have to buy more.
Yeah.
And then we spend time inside the club. D'Angelo and some of the ladies. If I missed some key point on that, I don't remember like the crux of that.
He's talking to a lady in the club, yeah.
And Chardine will have a bit of a role going forward, but not
a
huge one. So
yeah.
Jimmy and the group are sending in an undercover, is what it seems like to me. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Right, and we get it's a little taste of Sidner.
Going in there with Bubbles, yeah.
Yeah.
I like Bubbles kind of just going over his outfit and kind of pointing out some of the things like the wedding ring and all that sort of stuff that would have got him killed probably.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he should have known the wedding ring is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, why like I don't know why you'd be going in there for a wedding ring.
Jimmy has sex.
Well, it's The Wire. It's an episode of The Wire, so that's a good.
Had we not gotten into that before? Had we not gotten a taste of like his affair with the ADA
no.
yet? Okay.
This is the first episode.
Yeah, I think this is the first time, yeah.
Because Jimmy in the first two episodes gets in trouble with the law, drunk off his ass. This episode, he bangs.
Instead of a kill count for The Wire, we should probably have a McNulty bang count or a McNulty drunk off his ass count.
So the main crux is Omar. Who is the female? She looked like the girl that Lieutenant was trying to get people from. Is that accurate or am I wrong?
Yeah. She's the was it ADA?
Mm-hmm. Perlman,
that's what I thought.
Okay. Yeah.
So he porks her. Basically, the end of the episode, how it kind of breaks down is Omar robs the place, fires a wicked shotgun blast into a guy's leg. This may be wrong. I don't know if I am. This is not the guy, the undercover guy, correct? That gets shot?
No.
It's dark. They look. I didn't know, but
Yeah.
I was trying to figure it out. I kept going backwards and forwards. I'm like, is this? Did they send this guy in the order to get blasted?
No,
Because
he's
this
part of the
team,
crew, yeah.
this team would have done that. This team would have sent a guy in, got shot instantly. That makes no. I thought he just died. I was like, oh, because we see the guy dressed up, and then they break in, and then he gets shot. I was like,
no, he just went around with bubbles and got some information.
I honestly think the guy that got beat the fuck out of is in a worse shape than the guy who got shot in the knee. I don't know if that's accurate, but he looked a lot worse for wear. Like his eyes weren't working. It was messed up. I was blown away. I was like, damn. But Omar went instantly very high in my. I'm just a. You'll learn this on every TV show we do. I like bad guys. I just like villains. If he is a villain, if he's not a villain, I don't give a fuck. This wicked scar across his face and shotgun and just taking what's his. I'm like, okay. And he gave no shit. He's like, where is it? I don't know. And that kid goes, it's under the sink. Just fucking take it.
I mean, that could be a theme throughout of like, is Omar good or bad? Like, really? Yeah. I mean, he's just kind of there. I mean, he's there existing, and he's kind of being asked. Like, we see the cops and the drug people after Omar, just because Omar is just doing him.
And I'm pretty sure like D'Angelo gets like questioned. Did they do the raid? Is that also in this one?
Yeah. Yes. The raid where McNulty had to be all like, "Oh, it's stupid. I'm not going to do it." And then
is that when the old guy gets his ass beat and he gets punched?
And then they beat on Bodie.
They beat the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
Which.
And it's true because I thought that was interesting too the first time around because Kima really jumps in on him too because you wouldn't expect her to be all gung ho on the police brutality, but she beats his ass.
she when she ran up, I was like, okay,
she's gonna break it up. Yeah,
no, she's like, get the fuck out of the way. I'm gonna beat his ass now. And I'm like. He kind of hit the guy that kind of deserved to be hit. Like, why is he even out there? We couldn't get him to go into a place to take pictures and look for pictures. This guy's in the field about to tackle somebody. Please get out of here. So he gets his ass beat. I think Omar gets kind of questioned about like what happened and like not being around for the missing drugs.
D'Angelo, yeah.
D'Angelo. What I say?
Go get sandwiches. He said Omar, yeah.
Omar, fuck. Yeah, I'm going to fuck this whole shit up. But
D'Angelo lost all his good points that he'd earned by not being there for the drop. But the drop was late, to be fair.
Episode ends, Jimmy and that one guy.
The FBI guy, yeah.
FBI guy meeting up. What's their discussion about?
He tells them that Daniels is dirty and that they were investigating him, but then the department said they would take it over.
Oh, right.
A couple of years ago or something.
Mm-hmm. Next episode, I think the next episode is... that's the pager episode.
The next one I think is what? Old Cases?
Old Cases, yes.
Yeah.
Any body count in that one?
No, let me see.
I don't think anybody died.
No deaths.
There's bullet holes, but...
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in the very next episode of this,
honestly, it's maybe like my favorite cold open ever. Them trying to get the desk through the door like that.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. It really sums up these characters in a nutshell. You have all of them coming to do it, and then they're all struggling because no one thought to ask, "Wait, are you bringing the desk in or pushing the desk out?"
The way they look at it.
Yeah, they're basically pushing it against each other. Like one's pushing towards, the other's pushing out, and they're like, "You want this in?" I was like, "This group,
they're not communicating.
Is the most rag-bag." I hate this group. Like I hate this group.
That should be the series finale. Is them pulling a desk in easily.
We learned that the fat piece of shit cop is getting his pension. He's out. He's done. Like
Oh, he's very happy too.
Yeah, he was done before. His buddy's sitting there like, how do I get
he's
through
he's
this?
going to work at a very stable business known as the video store.
Again, so I will just be transparent with everybody. So when I watch Breaking Bad and Oz, since I've seen both shows, I take notes during the whole thing. Wire, I kind of just free flow watch because I've never seen it and I don't want to take time to be writing stuff down and not paying attention. So that's where Mark and basically Matt kind of come in, because I may say stuff that's going to run episodes together because I'm not sure. I think in episode 4 we learn more about the female cop, right, in her like home life. Like she's got a girlfriend, like we're spending time with them.
Yeah,
we learn a little
learns
bit
about
more.
it too, that she's a lesbian. He didn't figure out on his own. She had to tell him. And he still tries to work his magic on her, showing up drunk at her apartment.
This dude is the horniest, drunkest guy in sports, like, and in this show, like he just wants everything. They're basically, the gang is looking, or the people of the towers are basically got a hit out on Omar and the group that robbed him. I think this is the episode also where the one guy is in the, like, where Michael B. Jordan character is, and they call him and get it, or is that the very next episode?
That's the next episode. Yeah.
Fuck. Okay.
This episode also has Bodie gets sent to a juvenile detention facility, and he pulls off the escape of a lifetime by grabbing a mop bucket and just walking out the front door.
I just love how none of the other prisoners stopped him. They're just like, you have to see if this works. You gotta see, like, if him pretending to mop up the floors is gonna be good as see him.
Well, this is what my conclusion of this thing is, no wonder gang and crime is so high in this, because the people in charge to operate the law enforcement of this town or group is the dumbest group that's ever been assembled ever. Like, Thanos should have succeeded with this. This group was the Avengers. Like, this guy that just beat the shit out of a cop, like, considered dangerous. They give him a mop and privilege and nobody standing by the exit. He said, bye.
Herc and Carver are driving up to come and interview him. They pull in and you see he's right down the road trying to hitchhike back to the city.
They thought they were going to break the case too.
Oh yeah,
he's just going to start giving people up.
This episode also has one of my favorite scenes of the whole show, when McNulty and Bunk are given a old case file of a potential murder that might be linked to this, so they go and investigate it. And they investigate the whole murder by saying nothing but fucking motherfucker for a solid 3 minutes, and they figure out what happened. I counted it was 29 fucks and 4 motherfuckers. And just the performance by these two, you see how well they work together, and you can determine what every fuck means as they're going through and trying to figure out what happened.
I kept losing count at 20. I try to count the fucks and motherfuckers.
They sent this group in. I was like, this is the group that's going to find out this murder. Like, that's just humorous.
Oh yeah, Bunk's one of my favorites.
They figure, a guy completely muffled that investigation. You just see them nail down perfectly everything that happened in throughout that murder. All by just saying fuck the whole time. It's
and it's a story too that D'Angelo was bragging about a little bit earlier on in the episode too. So we know that that's pretty much what happened. That they figured it out, and now they have a shell casing that they're going to further investigate and see what they can find from that.
But Bunk got their realisticality. Bunk just put his bare hand down there.
That part maybe not so much. Let's see what else. So we got the Omar. They put a contract out on him.
Oh yeah, and then McNulty brings Bubbles to his kid's soccer game. Father of the year.
Well, he was already late. He didn't have time to go drop him off.
And he ends up fighting with his ex-wife, talking about custody.
Yeah. Who knew McNulty wouldn't be a good dad?
Yeah. Then Burrell brings the buy bus stuff over to the judge, and the judge is like, "Get the fuck out of here with this bullshit." And they like Carver and Carver and Herc go over to Bodie's grandma's place and wreck the stuff, and then Herc thinks he got somewhere by talking to her.
He was very sweet with her. And then also in this episode, we finally get the title of the show. They get the wiretap. They were able to clone a pager that Lester, once again, the detective that he is, found a phone number on the wall when they were investigating and was able to find out that it was D'Angelo's pager. So now they have a wire, and they're going to get every page that D'Angelo gets. Of course, they find out that it's in some sort of a code, that there's only one super duper intelligent detective who can crack the code by photocopying a telephone.
Oh gosh, that moron. Basically, they learned a sequence of them like skipping a number,
jumping the numbers.
I mean, that at the end, I do like that sequence, is just because like they figure out how they're going to do a wire, and pretty much they just kind of piece all the stuff together like in a minute of how they can get it, while also realizing, oh, we actually kind of accidentally did all the stuff we have to do to actually get this wire.
Also, this episode we find out that the young guy who's working with Omar is also his boyfriend, which I'm sure was a major twist back in 2002. But I think that was really cool, and I like that they don't shy away from it. They're full on making out, so I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I would have just imagined like Omar being that guy, and then I was like,
I imagine people are like, "Oh my god, Omar's the coolest character." Then they see that, like, "Oh no."
Oh yeah, back in that day, absolutely. Yeah, I thought that was crazy. Anything else we're missing from that episode?
I think the last big thing is we kind of hear Freeman's backstory, kind of how he ended up in the pawn shop unit. How honestly didn't even do much. Like he just kind of used the testimony of some bigwigs guys to make a case, and that got him to the pawn shop unit for 13 years, yeah.
And he warns McNulty, when they ask you where you want to go, don't say nothing. Which somebody already asked him in the first episode where he wants to go.
He's like, "Oh fuck, I already told him that."
Is this the episode where where that fucking guy sits across from the head and talks about Jimmy pops up into his brain? Is that
the master.
He's sitting there talking about whacking it and just basically like, thinking about this girl's nipple, and all of a sudden Jimmy pops into my head. I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, yeah. He's like, we'll put him in here for like 2 weeks, and then once he's done, like, we'll get him back into the fold. And they ask him like what, and then he comes up and is like, where do you want to like go, or like you're gonna be? He's like, no, I don't want to do this. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Next episode, pager. The pager.
Yeah, it's the pager.
I'm just gonna lead with this. Omar just whistling down the street with a shotgun is one of the most ominous like feelings ever. Like that's crazy. Like what's he singing? Three Blind Mice? Like he's like, is that what he sings towards him?
I think it's the farmer and the devil. The farmer and the devil.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. Does he kill them or just shake them down?
No, yeah.
Because they would show, right? If they did kill them, they'd show. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not on my count, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you know he's an interesting character when you got people shouting Omar's coming as he's walking down the street. They usually reserve that for the 5-0.
And that dude dropped his CD deck. Oh dang! Like man, that CD is gonna scratch for the rest of the time. Like that sucks. Man.
Had to burn another one. God damn it.
Yeah, but overall, I thought that was like an insane. Like I was like, whoa. And then the pager, like basically, so this is the episode where Michael B. Jordan's character sees him in the thing, and they do the call to get him there.
Yep. So it starts out with the third guy who was in the crew with Omar is missing. He hasn't shown up for a little bit, so they don't know what's going on with him. And then later on in the episode, the kids see him, the other guy, and they call it in. And D'Angelo calls it in to Stringer, and Stringer says, "We'll take care of it."
Yeah. And they take care of it, I'm guessing?
Did we see the end of that in this episode? What happened?
I don't think we do.
Yeah.
They act like it got taken care of, but we don't see it.
I think that's what I like about that so much is that it is just a back and forth of like kind of getting things together. And you also see just kind of how the crew is able to like get Omar's guy. We just see them like I think I forgot if we did see them playing with a badge, and like we see Weebay like kind of playing with a pair of handcuffs, like they're gonna pretend to be cops. Like that's how they're gonna get them.
This episode also has, I think, Herc and Carver finally go back to the pit and get Bodie, which, I mean, that would be the first place you would think to go. And they're working with him for a night. They try to do good cop, bad cop on him, and it kind of backfires.
Like, you're supposed to be the good cop.
Some of the dumbest.
Like, and then they end up playing a nice game of pool, so they have a good night. So
it is just so fun to just see where Herc and Carver just start out. They're just like the most incompetent fucking assholes to work this job ever.
Yeah, they're fucking pushing a desk and pushing it into each other. They're just so dumb.
I think another thing I took the note I put down was that one of my favorite parts of this episode was a drunk McNulty trying to assemble IKEA furniture.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a lot of little stuff in this one. We're just kind of a lot of this episode is kind of pushing the thing forward.
Yeah, there's more D'Angelo at the strip club with the lady. D'Angelo takes his wife out to dinner at a fancy restaurant and finds out he's kind of out of place in the real world, I guess you could say.
She's not afraid to order more food. Like she's like, let's go. Like, no, I'll take dessert. Like he doesn't fit into this like world. Yeah, we talked about basically the judge orders the cloning of the pager. We get all that, and this is I think this is when the episode where Perez, that dumbass, is able to figure out the actual code and what it means.
Yeah,
well,
so he doesn't get that.
So he knows how to crack a puzzle.
Yeah, he just doesn't know how to fucking be a cop.
And this is also the episode where Lester gets on Daniels too because he told him that they need to get the wires on the payphone so they can actually listen to the conversations being had on the payphones. And if they would have hurried up and got that into place, they pretty much would have got the conversation between D'Angelo and Stringer, which would have been pretty incriminating. So
I do like when they Perez is like, I called you. Oh, I called you too. Yeah, and they're like, well, we don't want to talk to you, but basically they had figured this shit out. Oh, okay. And then we see a lot of sequences of those numbers being called over and over, like 911, 911, them having a conversation. I guess we'll find out upcoming episodes what happens to that guy that they end up grabbing, I'm assuming. But overall, I think I don't want to say like, Mark, I mean this in the nicest way possible. Do not take this as a shot like I'm checking your child, but I feels like the show is starting slow, but not in a bad way. Like I feel like we're learning a lot about all these characters before the ball is about to start running, which is nice. Like I would rather like it's kind of what I would wish Oz was a little bit. Like Oz is like this character, murder, sex, lick my boots. Like we're learning all about these characters, but like in the most intense environment.
Yeah.
We're basically learning how each like setup goes till we see the cap off. So I think they're doing a really good job building.
Well, similar
which,
to
again,
how you
I
said
don't know
Breaking
where.
Bad, when we get to season 5, you're gonna get wait till we get to,
Yeah.
like season 3 and 4 of The Wire. I'm sure you'll probably see Mark get super.
Because I don't know where this season would rank. Like, so we'll talk about this like later when
Yeah.
it does. But like, where this season will rank to like later seasons. Like that's what I'm most like curious. Like,
Yeah.
because this is the foundation for the rest of The Wire.
Mhm.
But how does the 13 episodes like compare to the rest of The Wire? I'm interested to see. But I get where this show has gotten to the credibility it has in 5 episodes. I get why people, because again, I said this last time. As soon as this episode ended, I was like, easy, click to the next one. Like I don't. There's not a moment where I'm just like, oh, is this over yet? Like I'm just along for the ride. So,
I mean, I remember saying, I don't remember if you said this in the last episode. I remember bringing this up at some point when we talked about this. Like the first time I watched this first season, I think I stopped at like episode 8. So when you're kind of like, oh, and it's feeling a little slow. I mean, I get it. I mean, I did that the first time I watched through. Like I think it took me. Yeah, I didn't even finish the first season until like my second time trying to get through this show.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's just kind of the way that the show is. Like it's just kind of slow building.
Yeah.
It just because like it knows, it knows like we're gonna get there eventually, and the payoff's gonna be good.
It's definitely one of those shows that's even better on the rewatch when you kind of know the whole story of it. That way you can just kind of like appreciate all the small things and the characters and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Any kill counts? No one.
I think I put a 2 with a question mark because we don't know exactly what happened to the 2 guys on Omar's crew yet.
I mean, we know one of them is dead.
Yeah. So the one is a definite, and then the other one is a question mark. So
yeah,
one for sure, one question mark.
Yeah.
All right. Next is Breaking Bad. Again, I'm the detailed whore on this one, so I'm fully prepared for this episode. I want to apologize. I've said for years, basically, that I think Breaking Bad season 1's a little slow. I am taking all that back. It is not slow at all. It has got so much compact into it. Now, compared to like future drug, like massive undertakings in episodes, yes, consider that slow. But like, there's so much to unpack in all these episodes. So basically, episode 3, Crazy 8's still alive. Crazy 8's still alive. Jesse and Walt get into it, basically. Well, basically, the episode starts them cleaning up Emilio. He bursts through the floor in the last one. They're cleaning up all that stuff. A bunch of buckets. We watched like so much detail of them cleaning up and how much work they went behind them.
I like how after he just destroys their tub, that hey, we're just gonna flush Emilio down the toilet. Hopefully, this doesn't ruin our plumbing or anything.
Yeah, it's fucking wild that they use the toilet. Like, I don't know where the traces and stuff is, but like the toilet's like whatever. It's crazy. So they end up flushing down the toilet. I think the biggest crux of this one is Crazy 8 and Walt. Walt does not know how to. Walt has an ego. You can see it as it's developing. It is there. It becomes more prevalent in later episodes, which we'll talk about, but it definitely starts in this one. But he also has good nature. Good nature that will slowly go away. But he's got good nature at this point. Basically, Crazy 8 calls him Walter. And his reaction is, what the fuck did you call me?
Mm-hmm.
He knows he's a teacher. And he knows things about him. And he's like, what? He's like, Jesse told me everything. Mm-hmm. So he goes upstairs. Jesse's sitting on the toilet smoking his meth. Walt breaks down the fucking door and goes, "I'm gonna flush this shit down the toilet." No, the fuck you're not. Yeah, I am. Basically, they end up getting to like a wrestling match, basically a fight. Walt and them run down the stairs. Of course, Walt's got cancer. Walt starts having a coughing attack. Basically, Jesse hits him with the "I did my part, you do yours." Like, I'm done. I did this. Go do it. On this also thing is Skylar is becoming more and more unsure of Walt. Something's not right with Walt. Walt's not adding up to her. Walt, in his great things, he still needs to kill Crazy 8, but he's going to feed him. He's going to continue to feed him. Just that's what happens. He ends up passing out, breaking a plate, falling down, passing out completely. He ends up scooping up all the like. He wakes up. Crazy 8's like, "Oh, I thought you were dead, man." Like all this stuff. Like I thought you were never waking up. Walt gathers all the stuff, takes up the stairs, the trash. We'll come back to that later point. Then he goes down there. Crazy 8 and him basically have a heart-to-heart at the thing about him like owning like this. His parents owning the store. They do the jingle basically, and he's like talking about like, how do we can't continue without this? Like you're basically his life. Crazy 8's life went in a different direction. His life could have went somewhere different. He chose this life, and that's where he is. Telling Walt that he's not made for this life. He's not in it. Kind of where the ego is going to come into play. He's not meant for this life. He can't do this life. He talks about Crazy 8 basically offers up to him that he will we won't hurt him. He'll act like none of this happened, and he will give him money to write him a check, basically, to cover the stuff that he's going to need. Walt goes upstairs. I don't know what pops into Walt's head. I'm sure it's just the curiosity factor, but he pulls the plate out of the trash can, goes to piece it back together. There is a piece missing of that plate. So Walt knows now what he has to do. He has to kill him, or it's like he can't let him out because he's going to die if he lets him out. So he walks back downstairs. Why this is happening too, Skylar in between this point, Skylar has called Walt and told him not to come home because she finds out that he doesn't work at the gas station, the car wash anymore.
Oh.
He's quit 2 weeks ago. So she doesn't know what he's been doing, basically. He walks down. He's like, "Hey, you need to turn around so I can do this to Crazy 8, like do the thing." And right before he does it, he's like, "If I let you out, are you going to hurt me?" "What do you mean? You're going to hurt me?" And he's like, with that plate. And then as soon as he says that, Walt grabs the lock, chokes him down, kills him. Basically, just like one of the most brutal way they shoot that so well. Like
gets a couple stabs in the leg for it.
Yeah, because then he puts his leg up there and he just stabs it right into him. Why he dies. Crazy 8's dead. Walt walks back home, walks into the room and goes, "Skylar, I have to tell you something." Scene ends. So basically this whole thing is the crux of Jesse saying, "Fuck your shit, you need to do this. Like, I'm not doing this shit anymore." And it's inferred, we find out in the very next episode, that Walt has told Skylar that he has cancer, that he is dying of cancer. It's pretty bad. It also opens with Hank finding Crazy 8's car. Basically, and then we also find out that Crazy 8 actually turned in Emilio to the thing. So it's basically like an informant for them. So now Walt has basically killed the informant and the other guy. So they think that they find the new meth out of the thing. By the way, I love Hank and his partners like back and forth, like as a like a buddy cop thing. I think it works so well. But Hank finds the new meth and thinks there's a new kingpin in town. And then we have the most awkward cookout ever at Walt's house with Hank and Marie. Like, hey, You ever have family members that they're family and you know you got to spend time with them, but you really just don't have any conversation with them at all? Yeah, that's the entire episode. Like, sits there. She starts. Walt goes this long story about how they met and like the crossword puzzles, why Skylar's just fucking breaking down, which Skylar is considered one of the most hated characters in like movie TV history. She's just a bitch in this situation. This dude is dying of cancer. She's breaking down and goes, "Why don't you ask him?" And like storms away and like, is he cheating on you? Is he doing something bad? Like all this bullshit. And she's like,
I mean, he's been like missing for like 2 weeks after he quit his job, so who knows?
I mean, I will say in Skylar's defense, he found out he found out he had cancer, and then waited a month to tell her he had cancer.
You know what? That's valid. I still want to defend
him.
I'd be a little upset if my wife just neglected to tell me she had cancer for a month.
We have one of the most funniest scenes in the show is when Jesse's friends go over to his house and walk in and like see the hole, and Jesse goes, "Oh yeah, the house is settling." They're starting to cave in all over the place. They start talking about the meth. He's like, "Nah, like yeah, I'm trying to cut back." He's like, "If you don't want to fucking share, like don't fucking like that's fine, like fuck off." They end up sharing the new meth makes Jesse paranoid as fuck. Like this shit fucks Jesse up. We find out the two Mormons are two biker gangs with a grenade and a machete in his brain. he fucking bolts. They're literally Mormons. They bolt. And what's the first thing when you're paranoid as shit? Who do you need to go see? I'm gonna go see mom and dad. Jesse goes and crashes with his mom and dad, which Jesse's had drug problems for a while. They know this. They have no business with him in there. They don't want him in this house. They have a conversation. Like, they basically have to pep each other up to be like, "This is not happening. We can't let him back in our home." They find a joint. Of all the things your son does, marijuana is the least of your worries. But I get it. Get the fuck out.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. It turns out to be his younger brother's joint. Yeah. Like basically, like they had this like their little interaction upstairs and like talking about it. One of the best moments is like when he finds he's got like a violin or whatever. He's like, "Oh man, play Jethro Tull, man!" Like just no clue whatsoever. They end up kicking him out. Jesse ends up tearing up his weed because his brother's like, "Can I get a bag?" He's like, "No, it's skunk weed. You're not having it." Bye.
No, that was one of my favorite moments where he took the fall for his brother on that.
Yeah, he took his fall. So you think it's his? It's definitely not his. It's his brother's, which is neat. And then during this point, Walt has anger issues that you see throughout the series. It's very prevalent in this episode too. He gets cut off. He gets a spot taken from him by a guy in a convertible. It says Ken wins. He goes in the bank, basically. Just who knows what Walt's going to do. He's angry. He's just like staring him down. He ends up doing nothing at that point. We'll come back to Ken wins. Jesse shows up at Walt's house because his group is asking for more of the meth. Mm-hmm. They're going to pay top dollar for it. Comes to Walt's house. Walt is, "So what the fuck are you doing here?" Like, "No, we're not doing this." Throws him $4,000 all in his pool and everywhere. It's like, that's the split, which unlocks, I think, Walt's brain at that point where he's like, "Oh shit, like this one bag got me $4,000. Like, how?" There's a consideration. Walt Jr., one of the best lines ever. "Give up and fucking die." Or he just sits on the chair and just tells him to give up and fucking die.
Yeah, it's like the medical bills and stuff's gonna be like approaching like what's $80,000 or something like that.
90 grand. Like, and like Skylar talks like, "We can do financing agreements, we can do this." That's a fucking.
Like, it's not even a guarantee. I'm not gonna go out and leave you with all that debt.
Yeah. And then the very end, Walt pulls over his car, coughs, blood. In that time, Ken pulls up in his convertible at this gas station. Walt gets out of his car, takes the washing thing, puts it on the battery, blows up his car. Basically, episode ends. So that one's called Cancer Man. And then what were you guys' take? I guess we talked about 2 episodes at that point, but what were you guys' take on the first 2 episodes of Breaking Bad on this one? I thought, again, I'm Mark in this situation. I'm a slut for these, so like these are perfect episodes. So what were you guys' takes?
I loved the episode 3, just the whole Walt dealing with the guy down there, and kind of I loved when he did the pros and con list for letting him live, and he's got all the pros thing about it's morally the right thing to do, and the con he will kill you and your entire family.
Yeah, he's like any other time this is fine, but he will kill me if I let him go. Like it's crazy. What were your take, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a little bit two sides on this. On one hand, I love episode 3. I think I didn't even really love this first season in general, but honestly, going back at least a couple times, I really love episode 3. Just especially kind of where we see Walt go, and kind of looking at this in comparison of him like what deciding not only whether he wants to kill this guy, but whether he wants to dive head first into this, because I think he ultimately knows once I do this is what it is. And also just the choice to kill Crazy 8 through strangulation, like the way they did it was just such a neat decision, because there's a ton of ways that they could have had Walt kill Crazy 8, but like that particular way just felt so visceral and personal. Like it's just it really is a perfect episode to kind of build up your character. Then honestly, we go into that to episode 4, which is fine. Like I think we are kind of taking a bit of a step back into that. I think at least, especially I think even in 5 too, we're seeing how Jesse and Walt are gonna try to react, trying to take a foot out of the drug game, seeing like how are they gonna somewhat adjust to society. And I mean, see Walt having to deal with his kid and his family is like, yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I'd probably fucking go and cook some meth as well. Like, yeah, I'm not fucking dying of cancer. Got to deal with everybody else's bullshit.
Definitely, episode 3 is him dealing with his morality and seeing like whether like this, like we see his life of crime and where he goes. I think episode 4 is basically his battle with like his health himself and like where he wants to go. And I bet it's kind of like the line, like these two have to be set up the way they are to kind of like go to where episode 6 ends. Like, kind of like, I killed the guy, I solved our first problem. Now my cancer problem, and I have to deal with my wife, but I have to set up a money stream that makes sense to what I'm about to go do. I think it's like all perfect, like how it all sets up. Because episode 6, where we're basically Walt and Jesse are both trying to find ways out of the meth industry. Jesse's trying to find a job, basically finds a job to be a science twirler by his buddy. I can't think of his buddy's name.
Badger.
Badger. One of the dumbest characters.
Jesse has like the best friends, like Badger, Skinny Pete, and Combo. Like they're the.
On the same part, we see Walter and Skyler go to their old college roommate party, Elliot's party, all wearing the same color. They just come in wearing blue, which kind of a hint at where they go is like the whole world's there, the blue, the crystal, it's coming. Like it's like the show does very good. Like each character, you'll notice like in the series, if you pay attention to it, has a color theme. Like every character has a color theme. It's just weird how they decided to put that in there, but they do. And blue is kind of like their situation of like not being a part. They do not fit into this world. Like this is not their world. We kind of learn a little backstory of like we don't know the full story yet. Like if you've seen the show, you know the story about Elliot, and I can't think of her name.
Gretchen.
Gretchen. Like there's something about them. They kind of hint at it though. like Walt was involved in gray matter technologies. Why they are not involved in gray matter technologies, we do not know as we're currently watching this. Why he's not a part of that? Because basically, like he's crucial, and they're like, "Oh, so you're part owner?" No. Like I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. Why he's got this lavish life. They sit there. They sit out of pocket. Everybody's getting gifts. Walt gives him ramen noodles, basically, which actually works over real well. So it's very sentimental from him and Elliot's time doing together. They lived off that stuff while they were going to college together. You see when Walt goes away, when he walks back into the party, Elliot and Skylar are having a conversation. You don't know what about that conversation. Elliot offers Walt a job. Walt ego comes into full play because he looks across and sees Skylar and is like, all right, fuck fate. Like, I know exactly what this is about. They leave. They have the most awkward, like, silent conversation walking out while Skylar's just trying to talk to him, do all the stuff. And she goes, yeah, he offered me a fucking job. Thanks a lot, basically. Oh, and offered, if I don't do that, he'll offer to pay for my treatments. Walt is having none of it. There is something that we don't know, watching it currently. Something has Walt on the outskirts of Elliot and Gretchen. Like,
that along with his ego.
With his ego.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not putting because there's also a part like, we'll borrow the money from Hank. Well, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing, like, he's very adamant. He makes up the thing of like, I'll pull it from my pension fund. Not from your pension fund, but we'll talk about that later. Walt Jr. basically refuses when they get back. Walt Jr. is like pushed against not having anything to do with his dad currently. Not happy with him. So Walt Jr. takes the bus. Jesse gets back into the meth game. Jesse gets back in the meth game with Badger. And like basically walks through and like tells him like, oh, this is this beaker and this is a boiler, and he's like, oh, cool. Badger has no fucking clue. Badger doesn't care. They start cooking. Kind of Jesse is like proven like this is whatever I'm doing right now is an inferior product because it comes out cloudy. He ends up throwing it. Badger's like pissed, like what the fuck? Like I would have smoked all of that. Like what the crap? They do it again. It's still messed up. Badger and him get into a fight. Badger pulls out his crossbow that he brings with this entire system because Jesse leaves him in the desert. Like, he's gone, peace out. Like, Badger, we're not doing this. We find out that Walt Jr. tries to buy beer on an undercover cop, and his friends leave because they have able-bodied legs and they can move. Walt Jr. does not. Walt calls Hank instead of Walt. Walt Jr. calls Hank instead of Walt. They come home. That's when Skylar has the entire plan of like, hey, we need to talk to we need to all talk to Walt. We need to tell him exactly how we feel. We need to do an intervention.
Even with a talking pillow.
Oh, the talking pillow. This is why Skylar gets such the better of it. Everybody hates Skylar. She's like, I have the talking pillow. And when I have it, I'm going to talk, and you can't talk back. Like, all those things. Skylar tells her thing. Hank gives this like entire speech like, you're in the bottom of the knife. Base is loaded. You have a bum arm. You need a pinch hitter, or you going to let your pride take over this and do
this? This is where honestly the Hank love starts. I mean, they bring him in there for an intervention. He just keeps using sports analogies that nobody.
Yeah, I love me some Hank. And then Marie just is the most reasonable person ever. She's like, do what you want, Walt. And Skylar's like, the fuck did you just say?
That might be her best moment in the whole show.
Yeah, she's like,
anytime she can be a bitch, like she just steps up to the plate.
She's like, I'm sitting there doing treatment all the time, back and forth, all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then I see people that are miserable and it doesn't work, and they spend the rest of the days doing this, and it may not be beneficial. So, Walt, whatever you want to do, you do.
That's right.
We see kind of the emotion because regardless what Walt does, Walt has a heart for his family. regardless where everything goes, like he's doing this for his family to not be financially dependent on anybody else. He gives an entire speech. It's like, I don't want, like, this may not work and I'd be miserable and I can't do the things that I want to do, but I did this for what? Just to stay around a couple more like times? Like, it's not worth it. I don't want to do it. I'm not doing it. They go away. They wake up, I guess, the next morning or whatever. Walt wakes up. Skylar's not there. Goes outside, gives her a kiss, and says he will do treatment. They end up going to the treatment center. We see his first chemo, like where he goes through. Skylar kind of says, "Well, Elliot's going to pay for it, so make sure you contact Elliot." And he's like, "I'll take care of it." On his way to go see Jesse, Gretchen calls, and the conversation basically is this because of me, Walt? Like, is this like there's something, another Easter egg drops there, like there's something between Gretchen and Walt that we don't know about at this point. Is it because of me that you're not taking this? And she's like, well, no, insurance came through. It covered it. We're good. We're golden. And then Walt shows up at Jesse's house, and the famous line, "Want to cook?" So basically, and the show ends where he knows what he's going to do. We all knew where he was going to do. He's going to start cooking meth. The gang's back together. The group is there. We have 2 more episodes left in the season. I would consider like three is the ending of those first 2 episodes that we watched. Conclusion. I think these next 2 are to set us up for the next 2 episodes of Breaking Bad, which we all know the next 2 episodes of Breaking Bad are really good, but we don't know that because we haven't seen the show on this fresh watch. So overall, did you guys? How do you feel about episode 6 as a whole?
5.
I think it sets up that money line. Like, we have to do this Elliot thing because he is going to be bringing in a good amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
I have to defend why I'm paying for my cancer treatments if it isn't coming from Elliot. So what were your guys' takes?
This was my favorite episode of the 3, I think. I just loved it. I loved the intervention scene. I thought was great. I loved Jesse and Badger cooking the meth. I thought that was good. And the whole stuff about the gray matter is really interesting, especially when you don't know everything yet. I mean, it's really, I this time watching, I just kind of wonder, like, how different would the show have been if he just accepted the money? Would he still have ended up cooking the meth down the line or something like that? Because I feel like with his character and just the taste of it, I feel like, and Jesse probably would have kept bugging him about it. I feel like eventually he would have gone and done it anyway, even if he didn't need the money. But that's kind of curious. But his pride and his ego, of course, wouldn't allow that. And I think I mean, I don't remember which episode it was too, when Marie, we saw her steal the shoes. We missed that part.
Yes.
But yeah, that's something that we'll track later on down the seasons. But yeah, I really like this episode.
I think the main thing about this season 2, especially, again, Mark can speak for Wire. I don't know much about what concludes, but things that are set up in episode 1, 2, 3, 4, wherever it is in Breaking Bad pays off by the end of Breaking Bad. Like, everything that there's some development that happens that is mentioned or said, they don't leave any like things not untied, like tied up. Like they finish every story, so it's all crucial. So I think it's a show you have to pay attention to, but I think it's worth it if you do. Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of, in some sense, I mean, that like I kind of set this up, like 4 or 5 are just kind of nice companion episodes, just because we're trying to see how they kind of, how Walt can just survive, at least without going into this drug business. I mean, I do agree that, you know, this does at least does these jobs setting things up, and on some level, episode 5 is really important because I think it kind of sets an outline for how Walt will decide a bunch of things, and ultimately, I think what's probably, even though it's what set him to kind of where he's going to go, it's ultimately his biggest weakness, which is his ego. And it's ultimately also why he gets into all the bad stuff he does, all the good stuff he does is because of that. And it is kind of one of those things. It is I do feel like at least a couple episodes they just feel like they're kind of like it feels like it's the things we have to kind of get through. Like it is somewhat important, but we got to get through, especially with the next fucking episode that's gonna come up too. Like I feel like I always feel like I have to get through Cancer Man and Gray Matter to get to the good stuff, and like I don't know if I'll ever not feel that way.
We got a larger than life character introduced in the next episode.
It's a lot easier too when you're just binging through it versus when you're watching 2 or 3 episodes a week. But
yeah, again, if we could do this episode, like if we could do, we'd do 5-hour episodes if we could. Like we'd watch a whole season and talk. But like,
hey, we're gonna have a great conversation next week with some season finales. So.
Oh, insane. Basically, so episode 3 of Oz, God's Calling, versus episode 3 of Breaking Bad is called.
Oh, is it?
Don't remember. No one's Cancer Man.
In the bag or something.
And the bags in the river. And the bags in the river versus the Wire.
It's the Buys, I believe, is what it's called.
The Buys.
Yeah.
So best episode 3. My ranking. Go ahead.
To me, it's no contest. It is 100% the bags in the river. Like I think that one's easily the best of the 3.
Okay. Because my consideration would be it's hard for me to break up episode 3 and 4 of Oz because they're crucial to both of them being successful. So it's really rough. But mine would be Breaking Bad episode 3, Wire 3, Oz 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then we have Cancer Man versus
Old Cases for the Wire. And
yes.
What was the?
Was it Capital P? What was that?
Capital P. Capital P. I'd actually put, again, everything could come up Breaking Bad for me, but if I'm being transparent, I would put Wire 4, Breaking Bad to Oz 3.
Just for the fuck investigation alone, I would give The Wire episode 4.
Right. Your take, Mark?
I think I'd probably go tops with The Wire too, and I think I actually may give Oz the edge over Breaking Bad in this one. I think I would go Wire, Oz, and then Breaking Bad.
Okay. I'm okay with that. That works. And then episode 6, we've got the Pager versus Gray Matter versus.
What is with you with 5? Do you hate the number
5? I guess no. So in my head, what's happening
in your head? 3 episodes was the first episode too.
Yes, that's my problem. I forgot that we did 2 episodes in the first episode. So I'm constantly like we're on 6. Like we're on 6. I even put when I write these down, episode 3, episode 4, episode 6. I have no idea. No idea. No clue. Okay. Episode 5, Gray Matter. The Pager, episode 5 of Wire, and I don't know Oz's.
I closed the Oz tab.
It's okay. So where are we? I put Oz at the last.
Yeah.
Oz is it's Straight Life. That's what it's called. Straight Life.
Yeah.
This is a tougher one for me.
It's close. This one between. I really like Gray Matter, but
I'm gonna give the edge to the Pager because I think that Omar scene I love. I think we get some crucial parts in that season 2, and I could do without the Elliot party. I know we need the Elliot party, and I knew we need the Elliot conversations and all, but I don't like that party. I think it lasts way too long.
Yeah.
That's my vote. So I'm going to go
just
the pager,
Omar walking down the road in that
matter.
trench coat with a shotgun sticking out the bottom, whistling.
Yeah. That's all I need.
Yeah.
I think I will concur. I'll go back to my normal ranking. Go Wire. We go with the Pager 1, then Gray Matter. I mean, I think for that Omar scene and for also like just the that tryback that callback scene where they get Omar's boy there at the end. I think that's enough for me to put it there. And then Gray Matter, and then Straight Life.
So far, Oz is the only show that hasn't won an episode.
That's true. Has anybody entered your least favorite characters so far? Skylar's still sitting there firmly for me. I don't think there's anybody new in the Oz that I hate.
I think Marie's creeping up for hateable characters in Breaking Bad. Just every time
she had a great moment though in episode 5. I thought she was great during that intervention.
In 5?
I think when she's like, lay off Walt, it's his fucking body, it's his choice, let him make it.
But I think
she's the last time I'm gonna like her.
But I think she's also kind of doing that to annoy Skylar. So I don't really feel like she has great intentions of that. It feels like she's
Why are you defending Skylar?
They're sisters, they get to do that though.
I don't think there's anybody new in The Wire that I hate.
The Wire, there's just characters that you like because Omar jumped up, Lester.
Yeah, Omar is injured very high.
A great detective. So
I really want to say
Fat Cop's gone.
But I really want to say Valchek for The Wire, but I think I'm kind of letting other things he does later just kind of creep into my head. But even though we only saw him for a minute.
Yeah. I don't think there's anybody that I overly hate right now. Besides the people that I already know that I hate that are not even injured. Next week, the last 2 episodes of Breaking Bad, we get one of the all-time crazy characters to be introduced into Breaking Bad. So it's arguably one of the highest rated too. It's 9.3 on IMDb still. So the next episode is pretty high. Okay. Anything else we need to discuss?
No, that pretty much wraps it. So for the next episode, we're going to watch episodes 6 and 7 of Breaking Bad, episodes 6, 7, and 8 of Oz, and where's The Wire?
Yes,
6,
7, and 8 for Wire as well.
Yeah, so there will be one down, one episode, but I believe that we will talk about season 1, of Breaking Bad, overall how we thought and where we are, and then once the other ones conclude, we'll also talk about Oz's breakdown of because Oz will be done too, and we'll rank them against each other, and then when Oz finishes, we'll throw when The Wire finishes, we'll throw that on there. Yeah,
it works out too. I think Breaking Bad's got less episodes than the other ones, so yeah.
So far, we're cooking. We're doing great. We'll be on for another episode. Hopefully Mike will join us. We're going to try to aim for Thursday. So Mike can be back on, but we'll see. Until then, I will just play the only outro I have. Maybe there's another one. Maybe it's just here. Oh, you know what? If I hit TV Chronicles, I didn't know there was a drop down. Okay. So this was great. Everybody's seen this now. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Pawns, man, in the game, they get capped quick. They be out the game early.
Unless they some smart-ass pawns.
This is not meth.